There's a restaurant in California that finally got tired of kids treating their restaurant like a Chuck E. Cheese with real silverware. They put up a policy saying children need to remain seated, and if your little angel decides they want to break something, scratch up the furniture, or body slam one of their credit card machines, they're going to put it on your bill. And naturally, some parents are upset because apparently asking someone to control their children is somehow a personal attack. Personally, I think the restaurant should add another charge every time the parent says, "He's just expressing himself." Here, take a look at this video clip. I've got a few things I want to say about it.
There's a child lying there getting changed, getting their diapers changed, right next to another customer who looked mortified.
Oh, that's nasty.
The sight and smell ruined most appetites that night, but it was just one of several incidents Xue paid the price for. That's why he implemented this new policy, shown on their menu. It asks parents to ensure children remain seated.
So you back up off me. Man, you don't sit your lanky ass down. Bottom line, I will knock you the out.
And any unruly behavior could get the whole table kicked out. Parents are also financially liable for all damage caused by their children. One incident cost a parent $327 for a smashed credit card machine.
What's he saying?
They say you gonna make mommy broke.
Dang!
While another for about $5 after a kid smashed a teacup on the ground.
Now, before you trolls go down in my comments and say, "Oh, he must hate kids," let me clear that up right now. I do not hate children. I raised 3 of them. I love kids. But what I don't love is when somebody's child is running in between my tables while I'm eating my fried shrimp as if they're trying to qualify for the Cracker Barrel 500. There's a big difference in being a child and the child being allowed to take over the entire restaurant. Children are going to make noise. They're going to drop forks and spoons. They're going to spill drinks. They may even ask 100 times, "When's the food coming? Daddy, Mama?" They might even say they're starving to death, and when the food comes, they only eat 3 fries off the whole plate. And that's completely normal. I have raised children, so I do know how this works. You order a meal, they say they're not hungry, and then they spend the next 25 minutes eating the entire plate. That's just parenting. But running between tables, crawling underneath booths, throwing food, beating silverware on the table, and climbing furniture like they're in this Southern Ninja Warrior contest, that's something completely different. That's no longer a child having a moment. That's a tiny drunk uncle at a family reunion is what that is. And somewhere nearby, there's a parent pretending not to see any of it. They're staring at their phone while little Braxton is licking the salt shaker and trying to climb inside the lobster tank. And every few minutes, the parent will look up and say, "Stop that, baby." Then they immediately go right back to their phone, scrolling. "Stop that, baby. Stop that, baby." They don't get up. They don't take the kid outside. There's just no consequences. Just a weak little warning floating across the restaurant like they're trying to reason with a raccoon. "Now, sweetie, Mommy asked you not to throw that roll." Meanwhile, the child has built a biscuit catapult and has declared war on table number 6. And according to the story, one child picked up the restaurant's credit card reader and body slammed it onto the ground and broke the screen. And the parents were charged a little over $327. Good. Why was that child holding the credit card machine in the first place? What was he doing? Closing out his own tab? Or maybe he was checking on his tips? Or was he trying to split the bill 6 ways? That machine should have never made it to his hands. And if your child picks up a $300 piece of restaurant equipment and then breaks it, congratulations. You just bought yourself a broken credit card machine. Another child carved designs with a utensil onto a table, and the parents were charged a little over $109. Again, good. Nobody asked your little Picasso to redecorate the dining room with a butter knife. And I already know what some of you parents are going to say. But he's creative. And that's wonderful. Buy the kid some paper. Get him a sketchbook and some pencils and crayons. Buy him an Etch-a-Sketch. If you know, you know. The restaurant table is not his personal sketchbook. And nobody wants to sit down at a restaurant table and see what appears to be a crooked dinosaur fighting a stick figure carved into the table. And then there was a charge for $5.47 for a broken teacup. And some people thought that was taking it way too far. Look, it's not a fine. That's the restaurant saying, ma'am, your child broke a cup, and now you are the proud owner of half of a tea set. And according to the owner, they're not charging people for like a regular accident. If a child reaches for a drink and knocks it over, it happens. Adults do it. I've done it. I've attempted to place glass into a cup holder that was not even there. Kerplunk. There it goes. Tea and all. Accidents happen, and the restaurants know this. But if your child is standing on a booth, jumping up and down like the praise team has gotten to the best part of the song, and a cup gets knocked over onto the floor and it breaks, that is not an accident anymore. That's the predictable ending to a terrible decision. And if your child breaks something while you're over there scrolling on your phone and pretending not to notice, the restaurant shouldn't be held liable to eat that bill. You should. That's not punishing a child for being a child. That's holding a parent responsible for not being a parent. And that's the word that some people seem to struggle with the most nowadays. Responsibility. Some people want to bring their children anywhere they want, behave however they want to behave, and expect everybody else to smile through it. And if a waitress says something, the parents get offended. If another customer says something, the parents get angry. And if the manager asks the family to leave, suddenly the restaurant is no longer family friendly. And family friendly, it doesn't mean your family gets to take over the whole building. And it doesn't mean that your child gets to swing from the light fixtures like Tarzan looking for the children's menu. A restaurant can welcome children and still expect the parents to supervise them. Those two things are not opposites. Heck, my grandma's house was family friendly. There were children everywhere, but we still had rules. You did not run through her house. You did not climb on her furniture. And you didn't reach your hands across a table or put your hands on anyone else's plate. And you definitely didn't start banging your forks and your spoons together like you had just joined a marching band. And all Grandma had to do was look at us. Y'all know the look I'm talking about. That old Southern grandma look to stop a child 50 feet away. She didn't have to yell. She didn't even have to walk across the room. And there was no counting to three bullcrap. None of this 1, 2, 2.5, 2 3/4. No. Grandma's eyes would narrow just a little bit. Kind of like this. I'm probably not doing that justice. And suddenly you remembered every rule she taught you since the day you were born. You'd sit down so fast, your chair would apologize. And if we acted up in a restaurant, one of our parents would take us outside. We didn't get to hold the whole dining room hostage while everybody waited for us to stop expressing ourselves. We were removed. Sometimes we came back inside. Sometimes we did not. Sometimes the rest of the family kept eating. And we sat in the car with an angry parent learning all about consequences. That ride home would be so quiet, you could hear your bad decisions breathing. Now, I understand that parenting's hard. I've been there. Sometimes you do everything right and your child still has a meltdown. Sometimes a 2-year-old just gets tired, hungry, and overwhelmed with life. And sometimes they'll start crying because their chicken nugget that they have in their hand doesn't look like the other chicken nuggets they have in their box. That does not make you a bad parent. The difference is what the parent does next. A responsible parent sees the child struggling and handles it. Maybe they have a way to calm the child down. Or maybe they take them outside. They might even ask to take the food to go. Maybe they even look at the spouse and say, your turn, because they already handled the last public breakdown at Walmart. That is just parenting. An irresponsible parent sits there pretending nothing is happening while everybody else suffers for it. And that's what restaurant employees are tired of. Imagine being a server. You carrying hot plates, balancing drinks, taking orders, remembering who wanted the ranch dressing or who wanted the honey mustard. And now you have to dodge this 6-year-old heathen running through the aisles while his parents are enjoying their appetizers. Do you ever think that might be a little dangerous? The kid running to the server and the server trips, the child could get burned, the food might get slung onto another customer and burn them. And who do you think is going to get blamed if that happens? Probably the restaurant. And the same parent who allowed their child to run loose will suddenly jump up and say, "Why didn't somebody stop him?" Well, Mom, we kind of thought that was your department. You brought him. He arrived in your car. Every available clue points right back to you. The waitress is not his babysitter. The manager is not his uncle. The people at the next table did not agree to watch your child while you finish your margarita. Restaurant employees are there to serve. They're not substitute parents wearing aprons. And the other customers did not pay for dinner so they could participate in the action-packed obstacle course. Couples celebrating their anniversary does not want your child crawling under their booth. That tired old man sitting over there does not want a dinner roll flying past his head as if it was shot at him through a Civil War cannon. And the woman sitting quietly in the corner does not want little Braden popping up over the back of her booth just to ask her if she has games on her phone. And here's the bigger issue here. Some people think their freedom to do something means no one else has the right to object to it. My child's allowed to be here. Yes, your child is allowed to be here. What your child is not allowed to do is dismantle my restaurant. You know, you're allowed to bring your family, but you're not entitled to ruin everybody else's meal. Shared spaces belong to everybody. That means all of us have to consider everyone around us. At home, let your child run around the living room wearing a lampshade and carrying a turkey leg. I don't care. Let him eat mashed potatoes with his hands and yell at the ceiling fan. I don't give a crap. That's your business. But when you take your child into a public place, you have to recognize that other people exist. You know what we used to call that? What was that word? Oh, manners. And manners were never about making children act like little adults. Manners were always about teaching your child that other people matter too. A child does not magically wake up at 18 years old knowing how to behave in public. We have to teach them. We have to correct them. Explain things and how things work in the real world. We remove them from situations when it's necessary. And yes, sometimes we have to pay for things that our children break. That is part of being responsible for another human being. So no, I don't believe this restaurant is anti-child at all. I believe that they're anti-chaos. I think the owner got tired of watching his employees act as unpaid babysitters. And the funny thing about this is that the owner said that the behavior improved after this policy was posted. Imagine that. Clear rules and a real consequence changed people's behavior. Ooh, what a thought. Apparently, parents started showing the sign to their children and telling them, you have to behave. So the policy did not keep families away. It reminded some families to parent their children. And that should not be controversial at all. Children are welcome. Families are welcome. Accidents are understandable. But a restaurant is not a playground. A waitress is not your babysitter. And neither are the other customers. The table's not a coloring book, and the credit card machine is not a Fisher-Price toy. Now, I want to hear what y'all think. Was the restaurant right to charge the parents when their children broke their property? Was charging for the teacup a little bit too much? Maybe. And what is the worst behavior that you've ever saw coming from a child or an adult in a restaurant? I know y'all got stories. Put them down in the comments. Just please don't carve them into the dinner table. Thank y'all for watching and subscribing, and I'll see y'all on the next one.